Hello, friends. It's John Klein third of episode 162 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast. Today, we're going to review Captain America 323. So let's get into it. So this, so we're going to February's Captain America month, by virtue of the movie coming out, and we're going to start with the Marvel 25th anniversary cover of Captain America that has a sweet border cover, with all the best characters of Oh yeah, this came out in November 1986. And if you want to follow along, I made a TikTok and YouTube video at Jacko SII where you can follow along. So I'm just going to go in counterclockwise. So there's Spider-Man, the black costume, Hulk, or Iron Man, Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Namor, Captain America, Wasp, Ant-Man, Puck, Shadowcat, hence why we got these. And I actually own all the Marvel 25 anniversary covers, so that's pretty fun for me. Rogue, Wolverine, Colossus, Storm, Rachel Summers, Nightcrawler, Iceman, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Angel, Beast, Human Beast, Daredevil, WandaVision, Hawkeye, Luke Cage, Thing, She-Hulk, Invisible Woman, Reed Richards, Human Torch, and ending with Thor, who's not with the Avengers for some interesting reason. For whatever reason, they could have had Hulk next to Doctor Strange and Namor for a Defenders situation. And now I'm trying to think who's missing from that. Oh, Silver Surfer. But yeah, that's interesting. And I guess Luke Cage, but no Iron Fist is a choice as well. And so this comic's brought to us by Mark Warwald, penciler Paul Neary, finisher John Beatty, letter Diana Albers, colorist Ken Fonowitz, editor Don Daly, and editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. And this is one of those nice things about my Kitty Pryde Lockheed Magic collection is that every so often I get first appearances, and this is the first appearance of Super Patriot, aka John Walker, aka U.S. Agent. But before all that, he was a Super Patriot, and he's just jumping around the Statue of Liberty, which is celebrating an upcoming birthday, and so they are um repairing it, getting it ready. And we catch up to Captain America, whose two shield agents are not motioning for him to land because he just finished a adventure where he killed one of Flagmaster's goons. And Shield's trying to be like, hey, technically you're a free agent, but if you claim you're a Shield agent, we will docker the papers so that you were on this mission on behalf of Shield. And so Cap's unsure about what to do. Meanwhile, Super Patriot is trying to figure out how to replace Captain America as they find him to be old-fashioned. And then Super Patriot is going to host a rally in Central Park. He decides to let old lady get mugged as it's too small of a crime. He needs to be very public. We see Steve Rogers go to Avengers Mansion where Hercules and Black Knight are throwing quite the toga party, but Steve is not ready for that. He tries to call his girlfriend Bernie Rosenthal, who's but he doesn't want to wake her up. But it turns out she's already awake and thinking of him. So it's like, shoot, if only these two communicated. Steve Rogers. And then Steve has promised the Shield that he won't go publicly as Captain America until things die down. And then we see the rally where, oh yeah, and these are the first appearance of these three. Um, I don't know what you call them, fake Captain Americas who are very dressed up as Rambo, and then there will later be the three Buckies. And so it's the first appearance of these three, except and two of them become White Ring and Left Wing, and the other one becomes the Bucky of U.S. Agent. So two first appearances. I believe from Marvel fandom, Left Winger and Right Winger don't survive this, but neither does the Bucky. But he at least gets more appearances. And so Steve's about to jump on stage, but Super Patriot has knocked all of them out. But it turns out this whole thing was staged, even the police officers. And then Steve, wearing sunglasses and a red, white, and blue tie, approaches John Walker and his agent. And he telling him that, hey, this is not the way to do it. I might be old-fashioned, but I don't stage rallies and warwick, which upsets U.S. Patriot as he's going to have to figure out a way to, undermine Captain America. And then the Captain America goons attack Steve, and he has his giant artist portfolio briefcase, but it's really full of his shield. So he's just knocking them all out. Oh, hey, there's a checklist. So there's Fantastic Four 296, Cloak and Dagger 9, Daredevil 236, and most likely these are all, I don't know all their issue numbers, but these feel right for the border covers. New Mutants 45, Web of Spider-Man 20, West Coast Avengers 14, Conan the King 37, G.I. Joe Universe 1, Alpha Flight 40, The Marriage of Submariner Marina, Amazing Spider-Man 282 with X Factor, Captain America 323, Celebrate the Statue of Liberty Centennial with Cap, Labyrinth Limited Series number 1, Fantastic Four Index 12, Official Handbook of the Marvel Universe 12, continuing with the letter S, Avengers 273, introducing the new Masters of Evil, Incredible Hulk 325, X-Men 211. This one has it all, introducing the Marauders, crossovers of X Factor, Power Pack, and Thor, and a major shakeup. Spectacular Spider-Man 120, Thor 373, featuring a major tie-in of X-Men, X Factor, and Power Pack, because Mutant Massacre is happening at this time. Transformers 22, X Factor 10, welcome new regular artist Walt Simonson, major crossover of X-Men, Thor, and Power Pack. Really getting the word out. Classic X-Men 3, reprinting the Death of Thunderbird from X-Men 95, revealing for the first time the funeral of Thunderbird. Um, Epic Comics has ElfQuest 16, Elektra Assassin number 2 by Frank Miller and Bill Sienkiewicz reveal more about the world's deadliest heroine. Star Comics Masters of the Universe 4, meet Rio Blast and Snout Pout. The good guys avoid Raptor and King Hiss, the bad guys. Which, by the way, we lost John. Ugh, he's not Elroy, but the voice actor of He-Man, and coincidentally Prince Adam, and he was 88 years old. And I treated myself to like at least 20 minutes of listening to the Secrets of the Sword from the He-Man She-Ra backdoor pilot. One of my favorite songs. If someone was selling on iTunes, I would buy it. But last I checked, which was months ago, it was just the score of it, and I really want the lyrics. But anyways, treat yourself to that. John Irwin was pretty close. And then Captain America addresses the nation, which is nice that someone just gave him a camera to zoom in on. But he pretty much just says everything just plainly, like, hey, I'd rather not kill people, but I had to defend people, and I recognize I'm a civilian in a costume, and I'm gonna do better, everyone. Which is weird, as he's from World War II. He murdered so many people back in the World War II days, but I guess new sensibilities. Yeah, and then U.S. Patriot watches it and goes like, he handled it well, but he will be replaced. And yeah, that was Captain America 323. And got some letters from Scott Ridgers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Vic Mordaw from Ocala, Florida, Matt O'Grady from East Northport, New York, Richard Watson from Queens, New York, Howard T. Kidd from Manila, Illinois, Andrew Ball from East Longmeadow, Massachusetts, and Andy Rodriguez from Huntsville, Alabama. Next issue. You're not seeing a villain as disgusting as a slug in a long time. Wait until Nomad gets his hands on him, and we promise you that Cap will be on the action too. What do you expect in a tale called Slugfest? Also, be sure to catch West Coast Avengers 16 on sale in a few weeks to learn what happens to the wild and woolly whirlwind right after his run-in with Cap, okay? And then there's an editor's note here too. A dispatch from Don Daly. Hiya, friends. I'm Don Daly, Captain America's brand spanking new editor. I used to be an assistant editor around here, as many of today's editors used to be before they caught their rocket stardom. You may have seen my name on G.I. Joe, Power Man, and Iron Fist, and the Incredible Hulk, Moon Knight, and Alpha Flight X Factor. Anyway, I'm proud as a parade to be overseeing this adventures of the world's greatest fighting man. I hope you're right to all of us on the Cap Squad and tell us your druthers, cause that magnificent Marvel we published to please. And his letters page is called American Graffiti. So that's fun. So that, everyone, was Captain America 323. So let's see what came out last week. So spoilers for last week's comics. Nailed it. We had Hellhunters 2, which is a fun idea that every so often, because we establish so many World War II characters, like new characters, that every so often we do need a mini series that gives us an adventure. Like, oh yeah, they all knew each other. So of course Peggy Carter knew Logan and a World War II era Ghost Rider. And it's just a fun little Howling Commandos story. Um, they catch up to Logan, who just like slaughtered a bunch of people, and since he wants revenge on the people who killed his squad, he's gonna team up with our heroes, and we'll have to see. Psylocke 3 was my comic of the week. Koan is learns that Grey Crow, her boyfriend, had his arm chopped off and it was his human arm, so not great. And then nailed into the X-Men Alaskan base, the foundation, the factory. And so she's questioning Beast about like, hey, how can someone break in here? I thought we were invincible. And he's like, oh, I don't know. They must have just did it, sneakily. And it's like, all right, that's not great. And I'm sure it's never going to come up in any other stories, but it's like, yeah, Beast, tighten that up. And then she does rescue Grey Crow. And it turns out he does have a healing factor for his human arm, but it's like very slow. So that's cute. And then they lead to Shinobi Shaw, and the two boys start bickering with each other, and Quanon needs to like calm them down because it's embarrassing, and it was getting pretty embarrassing. And then she has like a vote of no confidence about Beast and the kids she saved are also at the factory, and so it's just like, like, is being with the X-Men safe? Like it's gotta be safer than where they were before, but they gotta figure things out. And then the issue ends with some bald guy that I was like, I don't recognize who this is, but I guess he's the mysterious new villain or old face that I don't recognize. But it'd be fun to see what's going on. So yeah, like 3 issues in, and pretty much it's a pretty stellar series. D Storm Life Dream, which I originally thought was going to be an anthology series, written and drawn completely by Black creative creators. But it turns out they told one full story just in like 3 chapters, of each one writing and drawing a different part where she fights androids of previous costumes of her, which I'm a sucker for a costume gallery, either on a cover or if you have to fight your past selves, you might as well wear your old clothes. And of course, it ends with Storm being our Storm, being the true Storm and the best Storm, and that just makes sense. And then there's a sequel hook where one of the androids like eyes flicker, and it's like, oh, what's this about? And then there's Ultimate X-Men 11, and Peach Momoko's is amazing as always. We're building towards something big. She tries to make small connections to the larger Ultimate Universe. Like the teens catch a news story about New York's Black Cat burglar, and then also Maystorm sees Freedom Fighter Storm and decides to start calling herself Maystorm, which I thought she already called herself that, but I guess that's just how they've been referencing her in the press or the in our world. They've been calling her Maystorm, but I guess that's now she's in the book and she's running her own group of Children of the Atom offshoots who are trying to, be the opposite of the Children of the Atom. So instead of being mysterious, she's going to be public and try to lead mutants in a better direction. Canon, which is why I messed up Fawnen's name earlier, talks to Armor, and we get like a quick fight. Armor's so tired about her powers being a defensive power, and yeah, so this is overall a pretty solid issue, and excited to see what keeps coming out. West Coast Avengers 3, written by Jerry Duggan, who's sort of doing like a micro version of the Orcus War on X-Men, but instead it's Ultrons versus the West Coast Avengers. And so Firestar's a member, and she's completely tired of AI. And the issue opens up with a council of Ultrons who decide that they're tired of losing all the time, so they're going to split into five different Ultrons and each come up with a different idea of what to do and see which one's the best. One decides to join the Avengers, and one decides to create a spiritual cult. And humans that are dying get Ultron upgrades, which is sort of just like the Sentinels right now. So a lot of similarities. And Spider-Woman sneaks off to follow the Ultrons to wherever base they're going to. But yeah, it was pretty nice to see Firestar taking a stand and recognizing an AI threat that needs to be demolished now. And then we have X-Men 10, where the X-Men or the US government sends that one agent, Ludacris, maybe, uh, to the factory, and Magneto's going to attack them. We are told that he does have that regeneration disease, but it's not diminishing his powers. It just diminishes his control over those powers. But if anything, he's even stronger. And then we see the new recruits are, which I don't think they're recruits, they're more just people living at the factory. But before Magneto can actually bust some skulls, he's got Cyclops and the X-Men come back from the Raid of Grey Mulkin crossover. And we see magic for one panel. And the Cyclops heads off to fight or to discuss the situation with the federal agent. Meanwhile, he starts the Hellions by team, which has the Bedlam Brothers, Phantomex, and Boom Boom, and then an extra person. But it's just weird that Boom Doom, Boom Boom Doom, Boom. See, I always call her Meltdown, Tabitha. I don't know, I always thought Meltdown was a better name. But it's weird that she's on an offshoot of a X team. Like she was part of the Utopians, and now she's on part of this team where it's like, all right. And they're just teleporting all over the place and destroying Sentinel factories, but making a point of not killing anybody. And pretty much Cyclops explains to the federal agent about mutual destruction and how he also is not tolerating any more Orcus situations. And so now that it's just humans with their limited Sentinel technology, he's telling them like, "Hey, you gotta stop this." And he's upset about the Great Mulkin being a private institution that clearly has federal government connections, and so he's willing to just destroy everyone if that's what it takes. And then even if they kill Cyclops, Jean Grey, his wife, will come back to Earth and just lay waste to everything. Which then Kid Omega's like, is that true? He's like, hey, if that does happen, I need you to take over the Phoenix Force. So even he has a contingency plan against Jean going Dark Phoenix again. Anyway, so clearly this is leading up to some government versus X-Men nonsense. So we'll have to see. So next week, we have Avengers 23, which I'm excited about. What I should do is just rank these as I'm interested in them. Uh, Namor 7, which might have Stingray, maybe not. He's not been in the comic for 3 issues, so we'll have to see. Phoenix 8, where Jean has to fight her new gal pal. And then Wolverine 6, which at least we should have the Wendigo buddy. And I don't know about Nightcrawler, but I'm for this title being a buddy book. And uh, and then the main storylines. Anyone who has adamantium connections is being slowly brainwashed by an adamantium spirit. So I don't know. So if I had to rank these, it'd be Avengers, Wolverine, Namor, and Phoenix. And then whatever is next in our Captain America week. So come back for that. And guess that's the episode. And thank you so much for listening, dear listener. If you're watching from YouTube, thanks for watching. And you can follow me on social medias at Jacko SII and the podcast at SNFWM. And thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk at you next time. All right, everyone. Bye.